You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. What's going on, rookies, and welcome to episode 33 of the Upland Rookie podcast. I'm your host, Will Larson, and as always, this podcast is brought to you by Upland Brits. Also, I want to thank my sponsors, Yuka Sporting Dog. You can check them out online, yukanubasportingdog.com. And I have had my dogs on Yukanuba for nearly a year now and could not be happier. Overall performance of the food, all the good stuff, nutrients, probiotics, all that good stuff that is packed into this rich density, high quality food of Yukanuba. So thank you, Yukanuba. Trinity Bretons has the Trinity Upland Academy happening this June. I'm going to try to get Josh on the podcast one more time and just chat a little bit more about what is the Trinity Upland Academy. But you're going to want to reach out to him ASAP because spots are filling very fast for the Trinity Upland Academy with George Hickox. You're not going to want to miss that. Also brought to you by Gunner Kennels. Gunner Kennels are the best kennel I have ever used, and I've said it before, but I've used every major kennel brand on the market personally. Gunner Kennels, hands down, the best kennel I've ever used. Could not be happier with my Gunner Kennels and my Gunner Food Crate. That was kind of a splurge I bought last year, and I love that Gunner Food Crate. So check them out, gunnerkennels.com. And Pointer Traditions, use promo code ROOKIE15 at pointertraditions.com to save 15% off your order. Again, the best collars I have used, and I'm not just saying that. I've loved their collars. I love the color, the options they have, the quality, durability, and just the look of them. They look fantastic. The brass things, the brass on them, and just they look really nice. So check them out, pointertraditions.com. All right, guys, that's all I got for my intros. Whew, it's a lot to get through sometimes. I got all these notes in front of me, and I don't know. They're not doing me any favors right now. That was all off memory. So we're going to dive in here. Hey, everybody. Hey, some of you, we're in early January right now, and I know some of you, your bird seasons might be over. I'm sorry for that. It's some of you might be looking forward to, spring training, summer training, next hunting season. That's awesome. It's always something to look forward to. And it's got me thinking about, owning a bird dog is to me, it's not seasonal. To me, it's not, oh, well, wait until next hunting season to come around. Owning a bird dog is a year-round commitment. It's that's what makes it special, I think. I also think it makes it unique. And, from end of January when my season ends to, next September, I sometimes I enjoy that more than hunting season. Call me crazy, but I love that extra time I get with a dog to pour into them and, work on new things, brush up on things that need brushing up on. And, they're part of our family. These are our family members. These are dogs that have a job, and bringing those elements out in quote unquote the off season. I don't think there is an off season. I think it's just a year round thing that you continue to work with your dog, and whether it's hunting season or summer or spring. And so, I encourage you again to do something this week, get out with your dog, work on something with them, whether your season's over or not, hunting season wise. And so, that's just what's fun about dogs. It's just, there's nothing else like it. Yes, my season ends here January 31st. Colorado closes, Nebraska and then Kansas all close, and so I'm gonna try to get out once or twice more. Try to get after my Upland Slam in Nebraska. Just one Bob White short of completing that Upland Slam. So we'll see if we can get it done. Gotta go a little bit further east. But after that, man, I'm looking forward. I got some Nashtra trials I'm doing here with Gage, getting Win and brushing up with her and getting her into some trials. And so I'm, my Upland season's coming to a close, the next few weeks or so. But I am so excited for what's ahead for Upland Brits, Gage and Win and myself, and just to see what we can start working on. So, anyways, all that to say, hey, we got a special episode today. I got Ben Baker on the podcast here, and I had a great time chatting with Ben. Just getting to know him more. We were actually introduced through Scott Stoner of Stoner Poodle Pointers. Scott was on the podcast, several months ago, and so Scott introduced us, and Ben and I started chatting online, and I just thought it'd be great. Get him on the podcast, just hear more about his story. And he's working with Griffin and Howe Gundogs, East Coaster. So we got some East Coast representation here on the podcast, which is always fun to kind of switch things up a little bit, and we just get to learn a little bit from Ben. And he's got a bunch of experience, hands-on, training lots of dogs, and working at a kennel in Texas, and primarily working with retrievers and labs. And I know he just picked up a pointer of his own. And so, yeah, really, really glad we got Ben on here and to hear more about his story and what he's doing with Griffin and Howe over in New Jersey. So hope you enjoy the podcast with Ben Baker. But yeah, what are you up to right now?
Dude, so I'm down here at Dallas Safari Club.
Okay.
So I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm a big exotic hunting guy at the same time.
Oh,
and
no way.
was involved in that community for just as long as I've been involved with dogs. So I'm down here, just kind of meeting people, meeting old friends, getting back into it. Just down here viewing everything this year.
That is cool. Paint a picture. What? Because I'm actually interested. What is the Denver or the Dallas Safari Club? What does that look like?
So the Dallas Safari Club is. So you know what Safari Club International is?
No idea.
Okay, so SCI and DSC, they are two different organizations out there that really stand up for exotic hunting in the United States to make sure that things don't go. Quite frankly, you don't get animals going extinct, as well as they're really big into giving money overseas. So like Africa, for instance, they're huge into giving back to make sure the elephant population doesn't go down by poachers, but instead is if a guy goes out there and spends $120K on an elephant, that conservation practice within that, I mean, the community's getting money, the tribe's getting money, the tribe's getting meat, that type of thing. So it's a really neat group of people it's a little different, but it's a pretty high dollar clientele.
Sure.
Which makes it very interesting to me, but as well as the hunting side of things. It's awesome.
Absolutely. That's cool, man. I've actually heard one other person. It's SCI.
Yeah. Safari Club International and then Dallas Safari Club.
Gotcha.
It used to be one thing. And then Dallas Safari Club, since Dallas just has so much money, the guys involved in exotics, so they were just like, we're going to start our own pretty much.
I mean, why not?
Exactly. So they have their own going, and it's unreal. In my mind, it's the best hunting show in the United States.
Really?
Bar none. Yeah. The money here is just Dallas likes to wear their money on their sleeve.
No, really?
Here. Yeah, it's here, man. So it's just neat to kind of, off the record. I mean, it's neat just to kind of walk around and, bumping elbows with the guys who own Jacqueline's beef jerky or bumping elbows with, name a brand. It's crazy.
Totally. That's cool, man. That's cool.
It's cool. Cool.
So, I mean, before we kind of dive in, do you do any big or exotic, safari hunts yourself, or have you in the past?
So I've been really involved in the outfitting side of it.
Okay.
So I helped manage a massive game preserve in South Texas that is over 50. I want to say it's over 58 exotics right now, different species.
Okay.
So that was 18,000 acres, and I helped manage that for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And then that in all honesty, is what led me to dogs. So we'll kind of get to that for sure in the podcast, because the exotic hunting world brought me full circle. And so it's a big passion of mine.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I can't wait to hear more. So as we dive in here, so two things I'd like to open up with. Put us on the map. Kind of where are you? I think I know where you are right now, but
Absolutely.
where do you call home? And just tell us a little bit about who is Ben Baker.
Totally. So currently, I call home Andover, New Jersey. Just moved up there from Dallas, Texas. I've been down in Dallas, Texas for a couple of years. So I'm a new resident up here. But who is Ben Baker? That's a hard question. Ben Baker's a pretty driven person, I would say, that is very passionate and very involved within the hunting space. Again, whether that be the outfitting side or the dog side, I really hold both as a huge passion. And outside of that, I'm someone who, quite frankly, has a pretty unique story, I find, and can really sympathize with a lot of people, and just kind of a realistic outlook on what a dog should do for a person, as well as what a dog should do for a person in the field while you're hunting. And I really try to marry both those together and build great dogs for everybody. So that's kind of the background on who I am and kind of my passions and what I'm really into.
That's awesome, man. That's a great overview. I'm just going to point out the obvious. It's a big change, Texas to New Jersey, right?
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
What brought you up there?
So I grew up in Pennsylvania, and quite frankly, I grew up on a small little farm. We had pigs, chickens, goats, that type of thing. Always been into the whitetail scene. Was always passionate about getting out there with my dad and my brother hunting. We had a little cabin up below Penn State. So we did that the whole way up till college. And then for some reason, I got a drive to say, let's go try the city life. So I picked up and went to Temple University in downtown Philadelphia and did 3 years there, and was pretty much worn out on the city and kind of realized that I was not really a city guy. I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb there. You mean
your pheasant hat didn't blend in the city?
Didn't fit in too well. So that one and some other reasons. I had some health complications back as a kid growing up. So, right around when I was 16 years old, I actually experienced a liver transplant.
Oh, wow.
So I had a liver transplant and then 2 bouts of cancer. And that was kind of my high school career.
Oh, wow.
And going to college, I went to Temple University because my dad and I sat down and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to travel. And quite frankly, the life I have, I want it to be really, really interesting." And he said, "Well, why don't you try to get into the hotel side of things?" So I went to college for hospitality management and tourism at Temple. And after 3 years there, I was like, the woods have been an outlet for me. My grandparents had always had sheepdogs, actually. So I was kind of familiar with working dogs. And I ended up acquiring a border collie, a really great dog with a ton of drive. I acquired her, and we were living in Philadelphia. And I was like, I ought to take my hospitality experience and my love for the outdoors and mesh them together. So I decided that was exactly what I was going to do, and I was going to try to get in the hunting industry. So one night I was sitting in my dorm and junior year, and I said, I'm either A, dropping out of college and going to get into the hunting field, or B, I'm going to find an opportunity to go down there where they'll keep giving me credit somehow. So I started looking at ranches in Texas because Texas just interested me.
Sure.
And I ended up meeting some guys and reached out to a ranch called the Ox Ranch, which is a pretty massive property in South Texas, and shot them an email. And the owner got back to me within a day and was like, "Hey, I need an intern. You're cheap. You seem like a good guy. You're a hospitality guy. Come on down." And that's kind of what got me to Texas and got me into the hunting industry.
Dang, that's cool, man. What kind of a leap of faith, and just something, I don't want to sound cheesy, but like you're just following your passion, following your dream. Sounds like
completely. It was, like I said, it was always been kind of a dream of mine to be interesting. Everybody here, we don't know how long we got on this earth. We all have a little bit of a stopwatch at some point. So quite frankly, with the time we have, let's make it real cool and let's stick out like a sore thumb.
Heck yeah.
I kind of figured, hey, exotic hunting at that time was how I was going to do that. So that's what I did.
Yeah. So now growing up, going back to your childhood, I guess a little bit, was hunting a part of your family? Like, is that something you guys did as a family? Where did hunting come in, and specifically dogs and upland hunting as well? Certainly.
So, okay, that's going to be a longer story a little bit. So
we got time.
Yeah, we got plenty. My father, he was he's an outdoorsman, I would say. I'm very passionate about that. He was in the military, served and all that. Long story short, when my brother and I started getting to the age where we could be in the outdoors, he was not someone who grew up hunting, but he had some sort of, for some reason, he had a passion to get my brother and I out there. So he made us immediately when we were 12. We had a nice little farm, and he was like, go get your hunting license. So that's exactly what we did. Went out, we both got our hunting licenses. And then we went into the field with him and started hunting whitetail just because that was the easiest thing to get onto, being in Pennsylvania and so much public land. And then again, my grandparents had these working dogs that were for sheep, and people are like, oh, that's very different. But at the same point, it's not. It's extremely close. It's all involving whistles. It's involving hand signals. It's involving telling a dog to do a job. And then having them actually perform while they're not next to you. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of tie in there. So got involved with my father, with my brother, and then got involved with dogs from my grandparents and their sheep and their collies. And then actually about, I'd say 5-6 years ago, I was at Dallas Safari Club, where I'm at currently.
Nice.
And I ended up, so this is a little bit of a side story. The gentleman who owned the ranch that I was working on, as well owned a military defense company. So I was at Dallas Safari Club with the military defense company. And there's a really, really big dog brand out there called Wild Rose. Wild Rose, they produce labs, beautiful lab, phenomenal dog. So they were at the show. And the owner of Wild Rose came over to me and was like, hey, do you mind if I take a picture with my dog and your military equipment? I was like, absolutely, take a picture. And right there, for some reason, something clicked in my head. And I was like, holy cow, I got to figure out how this guy is doing this. Because he is, A, taking my love of dogs and making that happen. He's taking my love of hunting, making that happen. And quite frankly, I'm kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, dogs are perfect for that. I was like, I got to figure this out. So he left. And that evening, I was like, I'm going to go find this guy. So I sought him out for probably 25, 30 minutes at this convention. Went up to him. I was like, hey, Mr. Mike, I got to figure out how to work for you. And he said, well, we don't really have anything, but if you want to learn, I got a guy you can talk to. He's in Dallas. We have a franchise here. If you're interested, I'll put you in touch. And I was like, all right, sounds good. So
why not?
In touch. And 2 weeks later, I quit the ranch and took an interview up here in Dallas and moved up to Dallas after a month and moved directly into the owner of Wild Rose, Texas, into his property. And one thing led to the next and kind of mentored under him in a way for, I'd say, probably a year. So that was kind of how I got full circle into hunting as well as into dogs. So
dang, that's full that circle. Is cool. So while I know I've either seen or heard Wild Rose dogs. Are they a full on like breeding training kennel? Okay.
Yeah. So their big claim to fame is a gentleman's gun dog. Okay. So they teach dogs everything from upland to waterfowl, of course, in the home of two. But they're only labs, only UK labs, and they do breeding, training, started, finished dogs, things like that. Okay. So it was a great opportunity for me to get my hands on tons of dogs and just around good minds and around guys who know what they're doing in the lab world. And that's where my passion fell, was into the lab.
And so prior to that experience, you never had hunting dogs of your own, right? Besides the herding collies? I
never did. So I had this collie when I first started the Wild Rose, and I was like, damn, like I don't have a dog. And long story short, they're like, well, come work for us. And if you like it, buy a puppy, figure it out. I was like, all right. So I'd, of course, been around these sheep dogs, and I'd actually been to the Border Collie National Finals for sheep herding. Oh, wow. So it was pretty similar to what I had seen and things like that. So it kind of clicked pretty quick. And immediately I just knew that this is what I was kind of meant to do. And I just chased it head on. And haven't looked back since.
That's awesome, man. To be able to mentor under someone like that and who's well established and putting out some incredible dogs, that's like you said, invaluable for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Because you talk to guys who start their own kennels, and it's like, how many dogs have you touched? And like, I've had the privilege of training 10. It's like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. But when you get in somewhere like a big franchise of any sort when it comes to dogs, I mean, wow, I probably had my hands on 50, 60 different dogs, and you really get to understand how to read them.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So that time there, so how long were you there? And then what kind of led you to branch out and kind of do your own thing?
Certainly. So long story short, I was down at Wild Rose overall for 2.5, 3 years in total. I actually had a little bit of a medical hiccup during that time, which kind of caused me to go back north where my family was.
Okay.
So down there for 2, 3 years, I've always kind of had this entrepreneurial side to me. And the gentleman who I worked on the ranch with, right as I left the ranch and moved up to Dallas, he really encouraged me at some point. He said, you know what, dude? He's like, you got to drive. And he said, you should probably do something on your own at some point. Because I guess he just saw some matter in it.
Sure.
And I was like, all right, sounds good. So I came up here, and I'm someone who very much believes you got to put in your time.
Sure.
So I came up here and made pennies on the dollar working dogs and really put in my time and grinded it out. And after about 2 years, year and a half of doing that, I felt pretty confident in my ability and felt like I put my hands on a lot of dogs. And then, to be honest, I had a little hiccup kind of with my liver transplant. So I had to go back north. So I go back north, and I honestly thought my dog career was over. I was like, I have to stay up here, and that's it. I don't have a lab. I don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, phenomenal people. The guys down at Wild Rose called me and they said, hey, when you kind of get back on your feet, give us a call and come back.
Yeah.
So I said, all right. And so long story short, after 2 months of kind of getting back on my feet, the guys down here, they called and they said, would you be interested in a puppy? I said, well, yeah, I definitely would be. And they said, well, we got an import and we're doing a breeding. And if you're interested in one, we've got an opportunity for you to come back here and you can kind of be a contract trainer. So I went out and got a dog truck and drove around Dallas for a year and a half, then 2 years, picking up dogs in the surrounding area, only sporting dogs. So I had about 12 dogs regularly, about 12 dogs regularly every week. And I'd pick them up and offer them tune-ups. So, I mean, it'd be anything from puppies who were getting started. And I'd drop them back off that same night. So they would always be home in the evening and get a full workout during the day.
That's awesome.
So their owners were all about it. So I moved back down here, started that little contract training, dog day camp, sporting dog training thing.
That's unique. I have not heard of that before.
Yeah, no, honestly, I don't think anybody's done it. And I did that, and Wild Rose gifted me a puppy as kind of a sign-on bonus to do this with them. And that dog's name is Daisy, and she is kind of my pride and joy now. She is just a pistol. So she rode shotgun for that year and a half, and we picked up anything from poodle pointers to setters to labs. And I mean, I just kind of got my hands on a bunch of different breeds and had the Dallas Hunting and Fishing Club to run the dogs on and learned a ton. And that just kind of built my confidence a little more. So
I bet that's cool.
Go
ahead.
Oh, go ahead. What were you going to ask?
No, I was just going to ask, so when did you start? So are you still doing that model right now? Or are you doing something? You have your own kennel kind of right now?
I did that down in Texas. And then COVID hit. And I was like, I said, just because of my own health, I said, because of my grandparents, I was like, I'd enjoy heading back north. So long story short, kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, went out and found an investor, went out and found a mentor up in New Jersey.
Nice.
And he said, I've got 300 acres. It's all yours. There's a house on it. I'm down to kind of work some dogs on the property. Come use it. So I said, all right. So picked up everything from Dallas, kind of a leap of faith, and moved the whole way up to New Jersey and spent half a year working on the house and working on the property and started talking with the attorney who was going to help us with the kennel build. And one thing led to the next. And the attorney said, there's this private hunting club 20 minutes from here. And he's like, you ought to go look at it. They need dogs and they don't have dogs. And they have a kennel already built and there's no dogs in it. You could go talk to them. Well, hell yeah. So I picked up everything and went and talked to them. And that happened to be Griffin and Howe, which is an old historic shotgun maker, quite frankly. They do beautiful work from engravings to custom work. And they do everything. Okay. And they've handled guns for Teddy Roosevelt to Ernest Hemingway. I mean, just really high dollar. And then they sit on this beautiful 3,000 acres with this kennel and birds. And it was like a dog trainer's heaven. Yeah. So I got there and they were like, hey, man, come work for us. Come help us launch this kennel. And that's where I'm at today. That's what I'm doing.
That's cool, man. That's so cool.
It's a huge story kind of on how it took me down to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Big ranch, train dogs, and then back up.
Yep. Dude, that's cool. What an opportunity. What an experience you've gotten to have.
It's been very cool. Very cool, filled with phenomenal people. And the one nice thing is, quite frankly, I'm still cool with the Wild Rose guys.
That's great.
I try to keep everybody happy, try to keep everybody open, and just kind of learn from everyone.
That's cool. Yeah. So you're starting this whole training thing with Griffin and Howe. Are you primarily focused on waterfowl, upland? Is it a mix of both? Like, where does that come in? Yeah. Sure. What does that look like?
Sure. So we have the privilege of sitting on a property that has a ton of history and a ton of guys who are passionate about the outdoors on it. So we have, it's all private, but I have the ability, luckily, that I can kind of take hold of that private property and private hunting and train the dogs on it. So they have fields and fields of just areas that members can hunt. So they've got everything from upland. We put our dogs on everything from pheasant to partridge to quail to mallard ducks. We farm everything. Nice. And then we have the ability to really hunt. I mean, tons of months and put them on tons of birds and get tons of experience for these dogs. So we really have a really great location and opportunity to launch this kennel. Yeah. It's been going for about 2 months, and I mean, it's been blowing up. So we're super happy.
Yeah. Super happy. That's fantastic. Well, what was the hardest thing? Is you thinking back to maybe your time at Wild Rose, or you're just getting into dogs and training side? Like, what was maybe the hardest thing for you to kind of have to pick up or learn as you're really getting your hands on more dogs? Can you think of anything?
I would say, so the hardest thing that I found was kind of the ability to wrap my mind around everybody's dog's different. So the one kind of thing I always tell guys when we're working together is the average guy out there, in my mind, probably hunts max 20 days a year, max. Sure. You have that dog in your house the other days of the year.
Sure.
Not everybody needs a complete machine. Yeah. So the biggest takeaway and the biggest thing I've learned going through everything is make the dog to what the owner wants and make every dog custom. Take the time and put it into the animal to make sure the owner's happy as well as the dog's performing, because that dog's got to work with their family, got to work with kids, got to work with a wife, got to be around the dinner table, got to be in the house in the evenings. So my big thing is, and the big takeaway that I had was just take that time, learn the owner, learn the dog, and then match both of them. Match both of them and get them the best dog and the best companion first, and then the best hunting buddy next.
Yeah.
Actually, got a very important fraction.
That's really well said. Because like you said, so much of our time, again, take your average person out there. That dog's in the house for the other 300, and maybe not just in the house, but I mean, we're not hitting the field day after day after day. That's exactly it. And a lot of trainers out there have the mindset of, I need to create, every dog's got to be a machine. I got to line this dog. He's got to run through every single head. That's amazing. I mean, if you can get a dog to do that, and that's awesome. But quite frankly, not everybody wants that. Not everybody needs that. And it's okay to match what they want. It's okay to match what they need.
and just don't hold that over your head and really kind of work with that dog's natural ability.
Absolutely. So are you able to get out hunting much for birds, or are you keeping pretty busy right now?
Oh yeah, we're staying real busy. So I keep myself busy as much as possible. Again, woods and everything's kind of an outlet for me, just kind of with all the health stuff that I've gone through. I deal a little bit with PTSD and things like that. The liver transplant road is a kind of a iffy and kind of weird road. So I have a little bit of baggage from that. So my goal, quite frankly, I have a weird goal within the next 2 years to get to the point where I'm honestly hunting every 3 days.
Nice.
So as of now, I'm out in the woods, stomping around, kicking birds up about every other day. I'm probably hunting twice a week, 3 times a week.
Okay.
So dogs are getting on birds, whether I'm squeezing the trigger or not, but they're getting on birds.
Sure.
We're getting out there every single day. It's definitely,
That's awesome. And so how many dogs do you have personally? Do you just have the one lab still, or do you have any more?
So I've got 2 labs. I got one dog I got a phenomenal little black dog. I got a little yellow lab her name's Daisy again. She's great. And then I've got this collie. She's just kind of the old house dog that I got back in college, and she lays on the couch every day. And then another gentleman you actually have on your podcast, Stoner Poodle Pointers.
Oh yeah, Scott. Yeah, he's one. Yeah. So I was going to ask how you and Scott knew each other, but go ahead.
Scott and I, when I was running that day camp in Dallas, he was prepping his dog that he just bred and started his little kennel and bloodline under. Lady, he was training her for NAVHDA. So he was taking her through some steps, and I was one of the guys who helped her get through some of those early NAVHDA.
Oh, okay.
So I picked her up a couple of days of the week, and we'd get her out there while Scott was at work, and I'd work on things with her.
Oh, that's cool.
So he and I got to be friends through that, and then I bought one of the puppies out of Lady for the first litter just because she's a phenomenal dog, and the Poodle Pointers are a perfect fit for the property I'm on.
Oh, sure.
And I always wanted a pointing dog, so I'm training him mainly to point.
Okay.
Then I'll have my labs flush.
Okay.
So my ending
nice
goal
little combo
is to have this Poodle Pointer and then mainly labs.
Dang, that'll be cool, man.
Someday I want a cocker, though. That's a goal.
Cocker. Oh yeah. The cockers they're so popular right now, man. I turn around left and right.
They are awesome.
Cocker fever.
Dogs. We're mainly flushing up where we're at. We do a little pointing. We just, quite frankly, have such a high bird population on the private property I train on.
Gotcha.
That makes it a little hard for the pointing dogs. They lock up a lot.
I was gonna ask, what's the bird hunting like up? I mean, in New Jersey, again, I'm in Colorado. Grew up in Illinois, so Illinois is a little weird with land and all that. Yeah. But are there any wild birds, or is it primarily what we call preserves or hunt clubs?
A lot of wild birds, but yet at the same time, there's probably 2-3 really nice high-end clubs out there. The clubs that I'm talking about are private, though. I mean, like pretty exclusive private. So a lot of guys are public land, but I mean, they're going out and they're putting 4 roosters on the ground quick, or we got a bunch in the area for guys that aren't upland. But you also go down to South Jersey, you got your woodcock down there. So yeah, we've got some fun birds to chase. And if you're geese, early season goose is fun up there.
I've heard that waterfowl is pretty good. 15
bird limit. Waterfowl's good. Ducks are okay. But I quite frankly, I kind of go a little nuts on the pheasant. That's my love.
Yeah, there's not much better than a rooster getting up. So
no, and there's nothing in my mind. There's nothing better than watching a dog flush.
Oh yeah,
walk up, hit the bird, watch it fall, and then send it. Man, that is
absolutely
better.
Hey, well, I got you on here. You sounds like you've worked quite a bit with labs and kind of the flushing breeds. Take me through some, maybe like just a couple basic training steps that you take a flushing dog through. Again, I think most of my listeners maybe primarily are pointing guys.
Yeah.
Just talk about the flushing kind of training side. Like take a young pup you get. Say you get a pup at 6-8 months old, something like that. Like what are you going to be doing with that pup?
I've found that the biggest thing when it comes, so upland work is kind of fun for the dog. I've found you can really get a dog out there doing the job and making sure they're having fun quickly. Yeah. So I've found the best drill for any dog out there is I go out and I get bumpers. I load them up with scent. I go out in the field prior and I bury those suckers. I bury them under the brush. And I let that dog out there. Again, another little thing is dogs will follow your body. So I walk in a zigzag pattern, and through those high grass, the dog kind of turns with you. As long as you get that basic obedience where when that bird goes up, they're not going to haul out after it. Outside of that, man, you're just kind of playing find the bird. So that dog hits that field. You teach them that simple quartering back and forth. And then with labs and cockers as well, it's pretty natural for them to lock. So if you teach that stop to the whistle, you really got it. You really got it. So
you got some of the basics,
yeah, you put some bumpers out there. You spread them out. So every 30, 40 feet, they're hitting one. And you're just teaching them, get your nose to the ground. You smell that, you go in. And you can tell when that dog's getting birdie. And then when they pop that bird up, you sit down, take a hug, sit down. Or I don't even care sometimes if you just stand there, just lock up and just wait for your name to be called. So that sit to the whistle then is crucial. Yeah. But outside that, it's just get on live birds. Yeah. Get on live birds because it's a lot of the guys I take through, they get amazed by their own dog's natural ability. Even if the dog's not amazingly bred, the natural abilities, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Absolutely. That's cool. Hey, talk a little bit more. So you picked up that pup out of Lady, the poodle pointer, and talk a little bit more about that. Like, what was that your first pointing dog, or have you had pointering dogs? Okay. So what kind of led you to that?
So when I was doing the day camp down here in Dallas, I had Lady, and then I had two male poodle pointers that had involved in that. So I got to mess around with the pointing breeds. I didn't train them the whole way up through. So when I picked up this puppy from Scott, I was kind of the mindset this would be the dog that would teach me the pointing breed. He's a versatile dog. So, he could really go pick up. He could do all that stuff. Excuse me. But my big focus with him is point, hold, point, steady the shot, that type of thing.
Sure.
So he is my first pointer. I am ecstatic about him because he's currently 5.5 months.
Okay.
And he went through like a little goofy phase where he was a little lanky and a little goofy and just kind of, doing his thing. But over this past month and a half, I've seen a difference. And again, I'm very fortunate to be able to put him on some birds.
Oh, sure.
So I've got him walking up on grouse already. I'm trying to get him on birds where, they're not going to take off quick. They sit and hold for a long time. So I got them going up on some partridge. I got them going up on some grouse. I got them going up on little stuff like that where I'm tucking the wings and letting them get real close. And he's picking up on whoa. He's picking up on all that stuff. And
that's great.
Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been fun.
That's cool, man. Is most of your bird hunting going to be upland, or have you dabbled in waterfowl at all with your labs?
So when I was down in Texas, it was almost all waterfowl. That was the big focus down. Texas, in all realities, in my mind, upland is kind of going downhill a little bit. They have a lot of phenomenal groups that are like the quail coalitions that are together.
Sure.
Awesome. They need to be doing what they're doing because it's getting hurt out there. So when it comes to Texas, it was mainly waterfowl. I found because we got a lot of duck hunters in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and then Mississippi all through. And then, but up where I'm at now, it's really flipped. My switch has flipped for the past 3-4 months, where I would say I'm 70% upland. And then everything else is waterfowl. Because you can waterfowl and upland training for labs. A lot of things can cross. So upland's kind of the last phase of it. So I work a lot on the basics, memories, lining, stuff like that, marks for the labs. And then kind of towards the end of their time with me, that's when I put them out in the field and let them have fun with that upland section where it's just, kind of tuning up and getting them ready. Because at that point, the obedience is done.
Sure.
And, sit to the whistle's done. We can put down some bumpers. They're staying close. They're not going too far and bumping birds, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I've heard a couple people mention kind of the Texas thing. Is it because it's just lack of public access? Like, is it just because it's all private land, or are there other priorities that are just taking hold of upland?
I think a little bit of both. I think for some reason I think the younger population out there, kids my age, I'm a young guy, 27. Guys out there my age are real waterfowl heavy right now. I think so. I think it's a mixture of there's Texas public land is so limited. So if you're going to go upland hunting, it's going to be private property where they're probably putting birds out there or, know, something along those lines. But outside that, it's all private land, and the younger guys are signing leases where the birds fly in instead of having to buy a bird and put her on the ground, or or for a natural herd out there. Flock.
Yeah,
So,
gotta be flock, but family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I got into a debate about what was it, grouse or prairie chickens or something? Because I think you don't call them a covey. Actually, you call them a flock or something like that. I think it's actually flock is a correct term for those birds.
I'm real technical when it comes to my dogs, but when it comes to little stuff like that, they're all prairie chickens. You know what I mean?
I've gotten
flying, I'm shooting at it.
I've gotten into some heated debates. Not even debates. Like I've said it one way in a podcast or something. Someone freaked out. Like, oh, it's called a flock.
Okay. Yep. It's a flock. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Totally.
You got it, dude. You got it. No. So that's I'm right there with you, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So are you? Have you ever traveled west to hunt at all? Upland birds, or or waterfowl? Have you gone west at all, or more Midwest?
I haven't done too much Midwest. That's going to be the goal of mine now, which is exciting for me because I have a lot of, like, when you come up to our property and our area, you have a lot of the big fields to kind of find out west, but then mixed in between is all timber. So we get birds that kick into timber, which is fun. I love walking through the woods looking for birds. So I haven't done too much out west. That's my goal probably this coming year, to really get out there, do the North Dakota, South Dakota thing.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Scott Stoner about doing some stuff with him. And then I got some buddies they have an outfitting agency. It's called Vista Valley Outfitters. They're down in Texas. Okay. And I've been talking with those guys, and we would love to do some upland work and get that going out west.
Awesome. Yeah.
We're doing it on the East Coast. Just got to get out west.
Oh yeah. Just start traveling, further over a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been so waterfowl crazy. That's what my focus has been. So
yeah, it sounds like you're transitioning a little bit more over to upland pretty heavily, but
it's like bathing in fire, man. We're getting after it.
It's something about those birds, and I don't know if it's the country or the land or something. It sucks you in.
Dude, you can just walk for miles. The day never ends. That's the nice part. I mean, up where we're at, you get into the woods and everything, which is cool, a lot of fun. But it's difficult because you got trees you're dealing with then.
Sure.
Like your shot windows change.
Yeah.
So when you're out in that big field, I mean, you can just keep going.
Oh yeah. You guys get like is it the woodcock flights that go through where you're at? You do? Okay.
Yeah, we got them. So they're mainly South Jersey. You can find them down that area, but we definitely have them. I mean, New Jersey, in all honesty, people give it a little hate, which I get it here and there. But I mean, I'm up in this corner of Jersey where I'm 15 minutes to New York State, 15 minutes to Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Most black bear per square mile in the United States.
I've heard that. I've heard that somewhere else.
It's kind of a nutty area. We got whitetail, turkey everywhere, and there's not many hunters. So it's like this, as long as you're a shotgun guy or a bow guy, dude, go to town.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, it's a good time.
That's cool. Is black bear hunting still legal in Jersey, right?
So it really goes based on who's in office.
Okay.
Sadly, we lost an election this past time, and we don't have black bear hunting right now.
Oh, bummer.
But our population is ridiculous. I got 30 of them in my backyard. There's one in my trash every Monday.
Oh, jeez.
So we're going to get after them once this season comes back. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Was it just this year they stopped it, or couple?
Yeah, they had it last year. Of course, the year I move up here.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we're going to get after them, but we see them all the time. They're out there.
Yeah. And you said whitetail's pretty decent too?
Whitetail's big, man. Big
awesome.
Whitetail, big herds. And again, geese are great in the area. Limits are a little goofy once ducks start, but early season, late season goose is good.
Okay.
And then outside that, the pheasant is pretty impressive. And
that's cool. Good. Now are the pheasant, are they birds that are bought and then put out on private land or public land, or?
So the property I'm on, we do a lot of farming of them. So
Okay.
we've got, I mean, it's quite a few birds. We got a lot of birds, which is great. So we have that ability for the dogs.
That's cool.
So we've got them farmed on the property. So we kind of mess with the ability to farm them, but yet we also have birds that we'll put them out there that we farm, and they're lasting a season and they're going into the next year. So we kind of have a little bit of a population already.
A little bit of carryover,
yeah, which is phenomenal. So
that's perfect.
Plenty of birds, and then when you get on, there's tons of public land up here. So when you get on public land,
absolutely. How many client dogs do you have right now, or?
Sure. So we're starting small, which is nice. They already had this facility built when I got there.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So we're currently in a smaller, really beautiful kennel facility. I have 6 runs, and then I've got those completely filled right now. And then we're going to be finished with 5 more that we're doubling in size already. So we'll finish 5 more, hopefully by middle of February. So we'll have the capacity for 11. And then once we fill that, we'll probably build a 30, 40 dog facility somewhere on the property. And keep on growing, man.
That's great.
So I'll be up in New Jersey hopefully for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. Do the winters get real bad where you would ever, because I know some East Coast guys will like go south for the winter, train dogs, and then go back north. Will that be something you'll need to do, or no?
I always kid about that, but yeah, we get some bad winters up here. We get some bad winters. So I know when I first moved up here last winter, gosh, we had like 4 foot of snow the first week I got up here. We didn't snow, you know what I mean? Just brutally unprepared. But there's snow there right now, so I'll get back there to snow. So we've got plenty. We've got plenty. I kind of find that Pennsylvania at this point, they're not getting tons of snow, but you get a little north in New Jersey, New York, Maine. We're getting it coming off the great everything. Okay,
cool. Absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, I kind of like to end the podcast and just really get your take on, let's say there's a brand new hunter out there, brand new guy or girl who just maybe picked up their first bird dog, just getting into the uplands or what it might be. What's some advice you might give them heading in? Maybe they're in the middle of their first season or looking to get into it.
So if I'm talking to someone who just bought a dog and is trying to do it with a dog, my biggest thing would be find someone out there who's just willing to give time. I mean, I wouldn't go out there. To be honest with you, I didn't pay anybody to learn at all. I found that the guys who are really quality are willing to give their time because, I find the guys in the dog community are normally pretty friendly dudes, and we want everybody to be enjoying their hunts. And if we can help each other out, we will. So lock up and link up with some really good people out there. Find someone who's got a dog who's kind of 3-4 years old and been through it a little bit, and learn a little bit from them. And just take your time. I mean, don't rush your dog out there. A lot of guys are like, it's a year old, I want to put it in the field. Wait till it's 2, My dog didn't get in the field till it's 2. Wait, it's going to be fine. And dogs pick up on things quick. And quite frankly, more obedience and the more knowledge your dog has, the better. So take your time and find some real good mentors or guidance. And then if I was talking to someone who didn't have a dog, I'd say just get out there and, again, find a mentor and just dive into it. I mean, go buy yourself a gun, go buy yourself some camo, and get after it. I mean, spend a couple $100 and do it just because you can do it, you can do it real cheap.
Yeah. I like that advice, especially, hearing a little bit about your story of, the whole Wild Rose connection that you made. You went and had to find that guy and track him down and, be bold and ask for, hey, I want to, come be a part of this. And there's always a part on everyone's part everyone plays that you have to take action too. You have to kind of take action yourself. Cause a lot of guys will say, oh, I don't have a mentor. I can't find one. Well, I would encourage everyone to be bold and make asks, and you might get told no. It could happen, but keep asking and keep going after it.
That's exactly it. People that are willing to give their time, man, they care about you. And that's my big, and just do it right. So that's my biggest takeaway for people, because I'm as well. I mean, I've been training dogs for 5 years roughly now, I guess, 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
And I really didn't know too much getting into it. So, I mean, I'm someone who kind of did full circle. When you talk to other guys in the dog training world, there's a lot of us out there like that, where it's like, I got my first dog and I found out I was good at it. Met a guy at church and he gave me his dog and said, "Can you train it?" And I started a kennel. Like, just take your time and do it right,
Yep. I totally agree.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome, brother. We're going to end with the kind of rapid fire section. A couple questions for you, and just kind of give me your off the cuff answer, and we'll go from there. Perfect. So what gun are you carrying into the field and why?
I'm carrying a little bit of a mixed bag right now, to be honest. When I'm going hunting, I got an old 10 gauge I'm taking out there, man.
Wow. 10 gauge.
Yard. Yeah, baby.
You're the first guest with a 10 gauge.
Smack them down. Yeah. I'm going out there with a 10 gauge normally. Honestly, for duck this year too, just because ammo's been so hard to find. You can find 10 gauge left and right. So I've been rocking and rolling with that this year.
That's awesome.
But when it comes to walking upland, I'm normally shooting a 20 gauge. Silver pigeons, what I really like, Beretta. Looking at some Brownings. I'm kind of going through a phase where I'm trying a lot, working for Griffin and Howe, luckily, and training these dogs. And so I've got the ability to go out and try a bunch of guns because we have this shotgun showroom.
Nice.
So I'm going out there and giving a lot of guns a try. And so far, my favorite upland gun, a lot of guys will say get 28 gauge, it's light, you can carry it forever. But I really like that 20 gauge. So that's what I'm probably really start locking down with.
That's awesome. Yeah, you answered my waterfowl question gun too, and that's I mean, kudos, man. First guest to say a 10 gauge. I like the switch up. It's a little different.
You gotta try it, man. You gotta try it. When you're sitting there, everybody's like, "I can't take that shot." You're like, "Well, I can." It's a good feeling.
All right, so this is gonna be a little bit of a loaded question because you have what? A poodle pointer, labs.
That'll work. Yep.
Okay, so maybe not too bad. Favorite dog breed besides the ones you own?
Cockers.
Cockers, okay.
Cockers are going to be my next dog. I'm gonna really rock them. Labs are hands down my favorite, but that's kind of a given. So I'm going to keep this poodle pointer, keep on building my labs, but my next fun dog is going to be a cocker.
What is it? What is it about these little freaking cockers?
Dude, they're like, you can fit them in a backpack. You know what I mean? Like, they're so small. They can sit in the front seat. They work. They have like ADHD in the field, man. They're picking grass up. And the nice thing is, to be all honest, my labs are great. My personal dog is the smallest lab I've ever seen. She's 38 pounds.
Oh, wow.
She's 2 years old. She's full size. And pull a gooseback, a pistol. But even her, she's a little big to get into some of the briars when you're in the woods and stuff like that. And these little cockers, man, they get under the brush. They don't go through it. They get under it.
Yeah.
And they kick through there. So that's why.
This world is cocker crazy, man. I think they're cool dogs. They are cool looking dogs. Yeah.
That's awesome. Going to get crazy with them because they're just, they're great.
That's cool. Great. All right. A couple more. Favorite bird to hunt and why?
Big pheasant guy. Pheasant guy. I love the chase. I love them when they run. I love them when they hold. Everything about them is a great bird. Love the way they taste. They're beautiful. That is my bird of choice of any waterfowl, upland, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good summary of pheasant right there. when you said that, I love the way they taste. I'm like, oh shit, I got a bunch of pheasant in my freezer right now. I'll cook some of them up. Dude,
we did. Scott Stoner actually came up to Griffin and Howe just a month ago and checked everything out, kind of helped me with my little puppy and gave me some next steps. And when he was up, we made some pheasant tacos. I mean, tacos good, dude. Insane.
That sounds great. Oh, I wonder what the wife has scheduled for dinner tonight. I wonder if I can change her mind. All right. Hardest thing to train a dog on in your experience. What's been just like that one thing that just can be difficult?
So I've been able to do it successfully, luckily, with every dog I've had. But the hardest and longest phase for myself and for most guys is hold training, man. Getting that dog to put that bird in your hand, delivery. It's really, really easy once they kind of get it. But that initial first 2 weeks, kind of that intermediate to simple hold and delivery is hard. But not hard, just annoying. Quite
sure, it can take
takes a while.
longer than other things.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
advanced delivery is fun, quick, because you can kind of do that while you're doing retrieves. But just that basic hold and put in your hand is
Gotcha.
my favorite.
Okay, cool. All right, and then last one. Beverage of choice after a hunt.
Beverage of choice after a hunt. I'm not a big drinker, so I don't drink too much. So after a hunt, man, after a hunt, that's hard. I'd probably I'm a big iced tea guy, man. Sweet tea.
There you go. Oh, sweet tea, yes.
Sweet tea's the way. Orange gone classic Coca-Cola, man.
There you go. I think
simple,
Scott might have said sweet tea too. I forget. I have to
Really?
go back. He might have. Yeah. Him and I think we had this whole conversation about Chick-fil-A or Raising
You
Cane's.
guys actually did, now you say that. I remember.
I think we did. Yeah.
He was talking about Chicken Express.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think I've had that.
Best darn sweet tea in Texas, Chicken Express.
He told me to stop there when we were in Dallas last year. We did.
Dude, solid. Up north, the best iced tea is Turkey Hill iced tea.
Turkey Hill.
Ooh, dude,
Okay.
that's
all right.
stuff.
I might have to find me some of that.
Colorado, they have the same store with a different name, and they sell the same iced tea. And it's called something with Chug, Barrel and Chug, or something like that. Kroger owns them. The Kroger brand.
Okay.
Colorado. I was like, what?
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
I'll get
yeah, that'd be great. Big sweet tea fan. I think I'll stick with Chick-fil-A as my favorite over. So Raising Cane's and Chick-fil-A are that's our two good options, I guess.
Chick-fil-A lemonade, mix it with
there you go. There you.
Yes, sir.
You're ready. You're ready.
Way to go, man. That's the way.
Well, Ben, this has been a blast, man. Thanks for carving out some time at the Safari Club and chatting with me.
Absolutely. Sometime you got to come up north, got to experience the New York, New Jersey hunting. So let us know. And
would love that.
Get out here, man.
Definitely want to get on some woodcock someday. So I might have to do that.
Let's do it.
Hey, what's a good way for people to get a hold of you or follow along on your journey?
Absolutely. So we're on Instagram. Griffin and Howe Gundogs is our handle. Outside that, Griffin and Howe is the company that I'm working under. So www.griffinandhowe. Anything you Google will come up with that as well. We're working on getting the dogs on the website, so that'll happen here at some point. But I mean, you reach out to them, they can always share how to get in touch with me. Or just at Instagram. I'm always on there, always running that, and I pay pretty close attention.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Fantastic. Well, hey, you get back to Dallas Safari Club, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, brother?
Sounds like a plan, man. You have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you. Bye.
All right, that's a wrap of episode 33. Ben, thank you so much, man. Thanks. That was a blast. Just getting to know you a little bit more, talking retrievers, hearing your story, and also getting to know a little bit about the Dallas Safari Club, man. That was pretty unique here to the podcast. Thanks for carving out the time to chat with us today. Hey guys, would you do me a favor? If you're liking this podcast, if you're enjoying this podcast, would you head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a rating and review? I really love reading through your reviews of the podcast. Just how this has helped or inspired you in any possible way, and inspires me. Lets me kind of know, how this podcast is helping you, what it means to you, and so it also helps the show get out there to more hunters just like you. Hey, thanks so much for joining me this week. Remember, if you aren't lucky enough to hunt with or own a Brittany, any bird dog is better than no bird dog. Go put some miles on those boots and have fun.